Pulse, or as it's known in Japan, Kairo, is one of my favorite international horror films. It's absolutely one of my top J horror flicks, and probably, in my opinion, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. And when I say that, I'm not talking about movies that make you jump out of your seat or movies that like really freak you out and like I'm talking about the fact that like after I watched it, I felt so unsettled and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it just kind of haunted me for quite a while afterwards. And there were some very spooky situations in that movie that just stuck with me quite a bit, and I love it very, very much, and I've wanted to talk about it on this channel for quite a while, so I figured it's time to do a timeline of Pulse. But I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off because then I have to talk about the other ones. Well, first up, we're gonna go back to 1988 for Pulse, a movie that has nothing to do with the series that we'll be discussing today, but it does have the same title, and I like it, and I want to cover it. So just, bear with me for what, like three minutes here? Come on. This starts with a mysterious lightning strike that either activates something in the electrical grid or travels there that way, and the shock treatment Brad is here, and his neighbor is mysteriously electrocuted. Bill is divorced and picks up his kid for a visitation, and he's like, whoa, and he has a race car bed. He watches Starman, so we're past 1984, and the signal moves into their house, which is represented by drops of mercury, which coagulate, which means you have to call Damone. And here's where things get weird. Little Davy meets Stevie, who's one of the other kids who live in the neighborhood, and it's Matthew freaking Lawrence, Joey's real-life little brother. They're not supposed to be related, but there's no way to not notice that these two random kids look exactly alike. Stevie tells a story that I still think about to this day about a piece of metal getting stuck in a garbage disposal and being launched out when it was turned on, which is why I do not hover over mine. But I will also say that the scariness of that sequence is diminished by the way that Stevie tells it.
Shot up just like a gun. Isn't that bad? It shot it up right through her eyeball.
And then later, Stevie plays with that damn Cobra Terradrome, which was released in 1986, so we're past that. And no, Mom, it was not too expensive, and I need it. There's a couple of magazines here, like this Bite, which I know you can't quite see the full cover, but I was able to use what I can see to peg it down as an issue from 1987. And the Pulse causes troubles, like trying to kill everyone, and the lawn, and even manages to scald Ellen here by cranking up the hot water in the shower, although I'm not quite sure how an electric pulse holds a shower door closed, like just open the door and get out. Dad finally wises up and starts to investigate, and Jesus, Starman is still on. It's like days later, and it's even the same scene. There's a final confrontation with a fire in the house, with pretty much all of it being destroyed, but the Pulse tries to escape via the transformer, so Dad destroys that too, trapping the Pulse in the house and destroying it, but it looks like it did manage to get into Stevie's house as well. There's no clear date, but there's enough hints to place it in real time 88. Alright, now let's get to what we're here to talk about, and that's the Pulse series, which actually began in Japan with Kairo in 2001, which translates to just Pulse, and starts off with a girl named Michi who goes to check on a coworker she hasn't heard from in a while, and she finds him, but he then kills himself. They find a strange picture on his computer, and this internet software has a copyright of 2000, so we're past or around that. And there's also a character named Ryosuke who finds a website full of people in despair and asks if he'd like to meet a ghost. A quick shot of a phone lets us know that it is June 25th, and the area that Taguchi killed himself now has a black stain. And there's a room blocked with red tape. Behind that door is a ghost in what is possibly one of the most unnerving sequences in horror, and there's some discussion about the isolation that people place themselves in and how we're hesitant to make connections with other people. And Michi starts encountering people killing themselves wherever she goes. And Ryosuke meets this guy who explains that he thinks that the afterlife has a limited capacity and it's now full, so the ghosts are overflowing into our world. People can use the red tape to keep the spirits out, but they're also disappearing everywhere, including Yabe, and it's realized that the ghosts don't want people to die because there's no room for them, so they trap them into their own loneliness forever, eternally pleading for help. Junko becomes dust, and soon businesses are empty, subways are empty, and later, after all their friends have become trapped in their loneliness, our two leads meet. But by this point, society has basically collapsed, and Ryosuke has an encounter, and the city's just a wasteland, complete with planes falling out of the sky. And our heroes board a ship to head for anywhere there's survivors, but it's too late for Ryosuke, who is now dust on the wall. There was never an official date, so we're rolling with that 2000 number from earlier. 5 years later, they decided to go ahead and make an American version, and oddly, when they advertised it, they used the plane crash from the Japanese version in the trailer. But in 2006, it was released as simply Pulse, which was co-written by Wes Craven, actually. We meet Josh here, who encounters a ghost in the library and somehow resists saying, "Get her, Ray!" but gets like his soul stuck out instead, or something. It's our first indication that this is not like the original. But then we meet Veronica Mars, pop star Christina Milian, and Neil Schreiber. Maddie is Josh's girlfriend, but she hasn't seen him, so she goes to his place where he promptly kills himself. Stone here encounters the ghost, and the movie just completely misses the point of what made that scene so effective in the original, and the red tape is back. Ma is here, as is Boone, and he sets up Josh's computer and gets that "want to meet a ghost" dialogue, and there's a sticker on the wall talking about something in 05, so we're past that. And people start committing suicide, including a recreation of the tower jump, and Maddie keeps seeing the ghosts around. And there's a Sin City poster, which seems to reinforce the 05 setting, I guess. And we see Stone dust in a way less unnerving way than the original. And it's revealed that Josh set something loose that was trapped within a server, and he thinks he can stop it with a virus he created. And then Charles Lee Ray just shows up for like 1 minute, and there's a bunch of flyers up on a board that have a couple of dates on it that line up with how the days fell in 05, so I think that's pretty safe to confirm. And then Oates shows up, but wait, is Ricky Oates or is she Garfunkel? Has that ever been stated? And you remember how the Japanese version was all about the haunting and quiet nature of the ghosts disturbing people with their general alien nature and confirming people's loneliness in the world and overwhelming feeling of isolation? This version gives you these. Soon, all of her friends are dying or dead, and everyone is disappearing, and it's said to hide anywhere there's no electric signal, and it's revealed that an experiment to find a new broadband signal tapped into wherever the ghosts are from, and I guess they just came over to take everyone's will to live, although no reason is really given for them to be doing this. They find the original server, which for some reason triggers a surreal dream sequence, and they upload the virus, which makes all the ghosts go away. But then the system just reboots, so they're back, and I guess so much for that entire plot point. Maddie and Dex leave the city, making sure to get that plane crash shot, and then the world is basically just gone. Since that made a minor profit at the box office, a sequel was made, and in 2008, there was Pulse 2 Afterlife. It picks up after the first one, and the world is overrun with the ghosts, and you have to walk around in this whole red outfit to not be seen by them. This one was directed by Joel Soisson, who seems to have made a name by doing sequels to horror films, since he did Maniac Cop 3, a couple of prophecy films, this one, and a Children of the Corn. There's a flashback to earlier in the crisis with a woman looking for her daughter, and her ex-husband is Apollo, and Michelle walks around some of the most obvious green screen backdrops in all of film. When Dad opens an email, there's a calendar that lines up with 07, but this is supposed to be at the same time as the first film, and Michelle's a bit over the deep end, and she's committed to killing her daughter and herself to get back at Steven. So I guess we can just ignore that calendar and put this in 05 like the first one, or move that to 07 with this one, whatever. Steven finds Justine, and it's revealed that Michelle has been a ghost this whole time and dusted right before she could kill her daughter. Steven takes Justine to a remote cabin, or possibly just a green screen studio, but I'm not sure this looks totally like they're keyed in there, but I suppose it's possible they're not, and it's a set, but if that's true, it's really weirdly lit. There's a series of emails that show that we're actually set in December of 07, and that's our first concrete display of a date, so that's our setting. This and the first movie are in 07. They run into the red outfit guy who says he has a plan to save the world, but then he's just gone, and they use the red tape to seal off the car, and they see a bus with a chance to find refuge, but Michelle is here, so I guess so much for that whole ghost needing to travel through electrical signals, because there's no internet in the middle of a damn field. Steven sacrifices himself so Justine can get away, and she heads off safely to presumably another green screen. That was actually followed later the same year with Pulse 3 Invasion, again directed by Soisson, and this has Boy Meets World guy whose name is Ryder Strong, and that's not a porn alias, and we're back before everything went down, and his long-distance girlfriend finds the website and kills herself, and we then jump ahead 7 years. So we'd be in 2014 now. Everyone has started living without any technology, and Justine is here, much older now, and she has an adoptive family, but finds a computer and starts chatting with someone who appears to be Adam from the intro, and he claims to be in Houston. So she tries to go and find him, and the green screens return, and it's just really weird because you can tell at times that they're in a real location, but then they'll switch to another angle at the same location, and it's a matte shot, like they either ran out of time at their shooting location or something. I do not understand that process. She gets kidnapped by a man who wants to use her laptop to contact his dead wife, chaining her to the radiator like he just watched Black Snake Moan or something, but the ghosts for some reason leave her alone. She finally finds the city, or at least a picture of the city is placed behind her, and she encounters her mom, and then meets up with the red outfit guy, and he's made a program to help them cancel their kryptonite of red for some reason, but said he'd only made it for himself, like that's not gonna backfire or anything, and he's got a plan to get rid of the ghosts, but I guess Justine is now trying to stop that? Adam is one of the ghosts, and I'm not sure if we're supposed to be on the ghosts side now or what, but dude is trying to set off an EMP to wipe them all out, and Justine helps the ghost get him. She meets Adam and somehow restores him to life. I'm not sure how that whole thing works, but he...
Oh, I can finally be with you. I can finally touch you.
She's 17, my dude. But he's evil. So she smashes the laptop and takes the flash drive that will allow more people to cross over. The military drops their nukes, which sets off a massive EMP that eliminates the ghosts everywhere and destroying Adam. Although the apparently the fallout and radiation of 67 nuclear detonations doesn't affect anything, and the invasion is over. But wait a minute, I thought that was a bad thing. Wasn't she trying to stop that just a little while ago? Because we were supposed to feel bad for the ghosts because they weren't just trying to kill her, or what? This doesn't make any sense. But it's over, and so is the series. So there you have it. It's 5 movies, but I mean, they're not. It's 1 movie, and then 1 movie, and then 3 movies. So that are connected to each other. And yeah, continuity-wise, obviously, the 80s Pulse doesn't have anything to do with anything, and the 2001 Pulse is its own thing, and the American trilogy actually has a fairly decent continuity. There's nothing that really grossly contradicts itself there. It kind of makes sense in terms of continuity, not much else. And yeah, the 2001 Pulse is just so good. It's just such a nice, weird, dark, unsettling contemplation about life and existential dread and loneliness and isolation. And the American version just does not understand any of that at all and just says, they're just killer ghosts now. There you go. If you've seen these and you enjoy them, if you like the Japanese version as much as I do, or if you think it's overrated, that's fine. Tell me that down below in the comments. Put it down there, light it up, let's see what we got. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you like what you see on this channel, consider subscribing and hitting the bell so that you get notified when new videos come out. And if you want to, go check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/movietimelines. These guys do because they're cool and they are fun and they help keep this channel going, which you can do as well if you do that. In the meantime, I'll also just let you watch the videos. Enjoy doing that, and I'll see you very shortly for another great one. Thanks a lot. Bye.